Aerotube Hanger has to be one of my favorite sets ever. There is just nothing like this set. Between the obnoxious size, the sand purples, and all the unique parts that have never been produced and will never be produced again. This is a one-of-a-kind set, and I'm super excited to share it with you today. What makes Aerotube Hanger especially interesting is that it really isn't a complete set. You need at least 3 other kits to make this into the ultimate Life on Mars base. So I brought all of those extra 3 kits in, plus another one, for the entire Alien Life on Mars collection, the completed Aerotube Hanger. You think it's hard to display your UCS Millennium Falcon because it takes up a lot of space. Behold, Aerotube Hanger. It takes up, in its completed form, 4.5 feet of table space and a good 2 feet in depth there too. This is actually one of the reasons I knew I had to get a table, because I could not show this without this size table. A while ago, I looked at the Mars mission sets, which brought back the tube system and the air pumps for the first time since Life on Mars in 2001. And I believe the set demonstrates a superior usage of these wacky elements. The set comes with 6 tubes altogether, whereas the Mars mission base, Eco Command base, only came with 4. This is the first time the pump system ever appeared back in 2001. And it was developed specifically for the Life on Mars theme. There was actually a ton of pieces that were developed for the Life on Mars theme, never to be used or seen again, which is peak early 2000s Lego developing completely useless parts. But it gives me some really fascinating things to show you. We'll get back to this completed base in a second, but I want to show you the individual models that make up this really impressive setup. This is set number 7311, Red Planet Cruiser, the smallest of the sets I'm going to be showing. This guy would have retailed for $7 back in the day, which adjusted for inflation is a little closer to $11. So imagine this being like a $10 kit, which, I mean, given the size of the thing, I think is probably the most reasonable asking price we're going to see today. It only gets worse from here. This set includes Antares, first Martian we're going to be looking at. So this guy is only included in 2 sets. The other one is a polybag. And if you've been watching some of the other videos on this channel, Brian Ferks actually alluded to how to obtain this polybag. You had to eat a lot of oatmeal and send Quaker a bunch of vouchers, and they would send you a random Martian polybag. And one of the Martians you could receive was Antares. Far easier way to get him, I think, was just buying the $7 set. I mean, for all intents and purposes, this guy is exclusive to this set. He's unique in that he's the only Martian in the theme to have hair. He's got like freckles going on it as well. He's like the angsty teen of the bunch. That lime green torso, while that part is still being produced today, obviously it's used as battle droids and for other kits as well, it has never been produced again in lime green, so that makes it exclusive to this minifigure. The legs are obviously in the same boat. As for the vehicle itself, I think this is probably one of the most unique vehicles in the wave. It's called a cruiser, but I've always imagined this thing hopping along something like this, levitating just a little longer because of these thrusters in the back. But I think that's just a wonderful visual, isn't it? The alien simply will latch onto this control panel in the front, and this is repeated in pretty much every set after this, probably every set after this. He just stays in there and hops along. Another possibility is bending everything back like this and actually flying around like this. The Martians actually don't have that many flying vehicles. They're mostly land vehicles. So I guess it just made more sense to me to think of this as a land vehicle as well. In terms of uncommon parts, this set is probably the least remarkable, due partially just because it's small. The color scheme is green and sand green, so there's a few sand green pieces. Sand green is one of the few colors of this wave that has actually withstood the test of time, so we actually do see some of these pieces in other sets, whereas some of those sand reds and sand purples we'll be looking at never had a chance to shine again. The one piece that is almost unique to this set is this 2x2 printed tile. The only other set that it comes with is the Life on Mars accessories pack. The Life on Mars accessories pack will be robbing a lot of pieces of their exclusivity status. Basically, that pack consists of any strange prints and even some of the strange molds, including the Martian sled we'll see with Aerotube Hanger. It's a very interesting set. Would mean nothing if you had none of the Life on Mars sets, just a collection of tiles and pretty useless pieces. All that being said, this is a perfectly fine $7 kit. These arms are more or less useless. They can go back and forth, and they've got some sort of radar instruments on them. I wish they could go up and down, but the wings here get in the way. All in all, I think it's a very creative start to our journey through the Martian vehicles from the Life on Mars theme. Next up is 7313 Red Planet Protector. So this set would have retailed for $20, adjusted for inflation. That's about $31.25 today in 2021. It's an iffy price. 25 would feel reasonable for this, but 30's pushing it a little bit. But you can actually buy one of these used probably for less than 20 if you look in the right places. The Martian included here is Centauri, who is completely unique to the set. He was not included in the polybag. His torso in blue has shown up in more modern sets. I remember getting that blue torso with the MTT from 2008. So I know it's still around. He's got some great printing on that turquoise head, some sand blue and blue. I really like that a lot. He stands out with that bright blue color. The mech too stands out in the best possible way. I think it's a very interesting design. And while it sacrifices some playability by losing the arms, I think it just looks really, really cool. The set has 194 pieces altogether, and some of them are really, really bizarre, and I love the bizarre pieces, of course. This laser gun here is actually a Belleville stool piece. That's what it was originally intended to be. This is the only set that includes one of these in dark gray. It is something completely different here, so props to the designer for finding some weird pieces. So there are no arms on this thing, but these can go up and down. They are held in place by these modified 1x2 plates, which is the only time I've ever seen that technique utilized anywhere. It's interesting, so you can lock it off there. There's a few other positions you can kind of get out of it, but otherwise, you know, flop around. So what's interesting about this vehicle and all the vehicles that follow is that it comes apart into separate modules. So even the legs split in half on this one for you to do whatever it is you would do with such knowledge. All these sets utilize the 1x2 with 2 pinholes in them to allow you to make some more interesting configurations of these sets. It could make a little more low profile of a walker, and I tested this before and it actually stood up still somehow, which I think is crazy. That thing actually is balanced. I love these thrusters on the hips here too. Very interesting. Another piece unique to this set in gray. This engine piece was developed exclusively for the Life on Mars theme. 3 of the sets have it. The rocket ship from the humans has it in dark gray, and then Aerotube Hanger, which we'll look at in a bit, has it in sand purple. It's never been used since, which surprises me because I feel like at least they could have thrown this in one of the old Star Wars sets very easily, but it never happened. So that is a relic of this theme. There's clearly some uncommon prints, again, that are included in that Life on Mars accessories pack. The 2x2 tile up here and the 2x3 slopes for his feet. We'll be seeing this 2x2 red vent tile again in the next mech. That's pretty cool and very versatile. Doesn't necessarily have to be for a Life on Mars set, and that's what I like about that a lot. That even if it is in the old gray, I still think that can be utilized in mocks, which is great. I like this set. It is a different approach to a mech than what I would have otherwise expected from this theme. The next one is a little more standard, but I like this. It looks unique, whereas they could have easily made the 2 mechs virtually identical and just swapped the colors. They put in some effort into making it stand out a little bit from the bunch, and I really appreciate that. And here it is, remarkably similar to the last set, but Unique nonetheless, but not unique in one aspect. So this is set number 7314, Recon Mech RP, RP assumingly standing for Red Planet, and 194 pieces. I love to think that that was just a happy coincidence, but maybe that was intentional because Red Planet Protector is also exactly 194 pieces. These both retailed for $20. Were they trying to balance these things out as much as possible so as not to make one more desirable than the other? I have no idea, but I think that is absolutely fascinating. So this takes on a little more standard approach when it comes to mechs, with arms that are fully posable. And instead of those thrusters, we get this tank in the back to make up for the lost piece count. Sand red is our accent color here, and sand red is our first color that unfortunately is no longer with us. As much as I love sand purple, sand red, my heart, I love sand red. It is my favorite discontinued color, and I would love, 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 love to see it brought back. This set unfortunately doesn't feature any of the more valuable sand red bricks, like your standard basic bricks. This has many more unique sand red elements, which is great because the sand red portfolio is pretty limiting, and we have this set to thank for a lot of those pieces because they only appeared in this set. For instance, this 1x2 with the 2 bars out front, unique to this set. The 3x4 wedge plate, unique to this set. These half cylinder pieces, unique to this set. Sand red round tiles, also unique to this set. There's a lot that this set brought, and of course all the other sand red pieces that are featured on this model come in at most 3 sets. So much like the other two are, whoa, I haven't introduced you yet. We're not gonna put you in the cockpit quite yet. This is Antares, who is also unique to this set. He's got another really cool head print. Mine actually has a scratch on it, shoot. But he's got a freckle. I don't know what that was. But as I was saying, much like the other two, you can just sit in here, clip on to the control board with his hands. I'm not gonna do it, I'm so scared. I'm so scared I'm gonna crack his hands. And that's how he stays in there. Because there's no anti-studs in the bottom of their legs or anything like that. But in terms of functionality, this of course does have the moving arms. We've got these great hose pieces, which I forgot to highlight on the other set, but these are nicer than the new ones that connect to like Technic pieces. These ones actually have a stud on one side and an anti-stud on the other end, but that's ABS plastic, and then this is just a nicer material than those hoses, the completely hollow ones. So I do like these a lot. They are not as strong. With a single stud, they don't exactly attach to things very well, but I do believe it is hollow, so you could put a bar through there to get a better connection if you wanted. This set, of course, did not have such strict guidelines that LEGO employs today with their products, so this is perfectly acceptable. Claw, that once would have had a rubber band that is long since disintegrated, but to take a look at what that would have looked like in practice, we can use one of these modern white ones. I say modern, but even this one is probably like 15 years old, and it just clamps it back shut. You'll see in the next set what these specifically are supposed to be grabbing. It's these rock crystals. I don't know why both mechs didn't come with one of them. I felt like that would have been very appropriate. So much like the last set, this can break up into separate modules. So this one goes into 3. We can create that little more low profile walker again. But the magic really starts happening when you combine these sets together.
Their technology is very advanced.
These also are completely compatible with the human vehicles as well. That's where it gets really interesting. And I believe the whole story of the theme was that the Martians contribute parts of their vehicles to their rocket ship, which has crashed, to help them get back to Earth. It's so wholesome. This theme is so wholesome. There's no bad guys. It's just Martians and astronauts working together, and that's delightful because we know that would never happen. Recon Mech RP, great looking mech for its time. It's pretty much exactly what you would ask for from a mech. Lots of great pieces. I forgot to highlight this gun in trans green. is only included in one other set. Oh, almost forgot. The 1x2 Technic brick, sand red, unique to this set. That's a good brick there. It's as close as we're gonna get to basic anyway. We're gonna take a pretty big step up to a much larger set number 7316, Excavation Searcher. So this set has a total of 471 pieces, would have retailed for $50 back in the day. Adjusted for inflation in 2021, that's about $78. So $80 set for 471 pieces. This was an expensive boy back in the day. We have 3 minifigures included with this set. So over here on the left, we have Canopus. He is exclusive to this set, as well as Pollux, who also is exclusive to the set. Both have very distinct face prints, though probably the tamest colors of all the life on Mars Martians. Over here on the right is Vega. Vega is probably the most common Martian to get in these sets. He's included in a total of 5, and he's also going to be an Aerotube Hanger, which we'll look at in a second. Despite being very common, I think the turquoise and orange color scheme is very striking and very memorable. Gotta love those eyes. Unlike the 2 mechs we just looked at, this actually includes its docking bay that will attach to Aerotube Hanger. The other 2 are included with the Aerotube Hanger set. This being in this other set allowed them to flesh this one out a bit more. It's much bigger than the other 2 docking bays, but uses pretty much the same formula to make sure they're consistent. It's just this back area that's extended upon. With a bigger docking bay, you'd expect a bigger vehicle. Well, also with a $50 price tag, you'd expect a bigger vehicle, and the set does not disappoint in that regard. We have a 4-legged walker this time around, which is designed to locate and retrieve these. I'm sure there's some sort of canonically correct title for these crystals inside these rocks, but I do not know it. And if I figure it out, I will put it right here. But these include a very unique piece, this 2x2 rocky thingy that can fit a 1x1 round brick on the inside. So the crystal itself is pretty basic, surprisingly basic. We have this really crazy mount. We put it inside a trans orange boulder, and then it's a 1x1 trans red brick. Huh. I'm not sure exactly what the function of these are supposed to be either. If there's some sort of power source like we see in Mars mission, or just some valuable item. I'm not sure, but this set comes with 2 of them. One in red, I believe this one is in blue. It is. And they can fit snugly up in this cage. Now this set features 2 sets of grabbers, which are unique to this set in orange, and they are perfect for grabbing. They fit around the boulder perfectly. You can pick it up quite easily and get it to go back in there. Much like the other 2 mechs we looked at, cockpit is easy to get into. Martian grabs on these to stay in place, and you're good to go. But unlike the other 2 mechs, this actually has an additional vehicle hidden underneath. It's another flying vehicle. It just latches on to the belly using some Technic pinholes on the bottom of the Excavation Searcher. Oh my gosh, I keep destroying stuff. Very, very simple, but here's the kicker. I absolutely love how it's driven. So I do have the box for this set yet. While not in great condition, you get the idea. You kind of hang on for dear life and go flying around. It looks super fun. And poor Pollux there did not know what he signed up for, I think. But off he goes. So while we're taking a look at the box, I love the box art. It looks so cool. Early 2000s Photoshop, it's pretty epic. On the back of the box, we get some of the alternate builds because much like the other 2 mechs, this one can split into different modules. So it actually shows a version very similar to the other 2, a walking mech. So this thing splits into 4 sections altogether. That stands crazy. So there's our 4 sections. And to create the walker, it's as simple as putting that on top of that. This one does not balance as well as some of the others. But if we compare that side by side here, it fits in with the scale and everything. It's pretty good. And the best part is, these can all be interchanged. Uses the same base system for each, that 1x2 pinholes, but we can make some pretty freaky walkers, I imagine. And this could only be compounded if you were to add the red planet protector. Look at that, crazy. We could even put this guy on the back, I suppose. Something like that. This feature is genuinely awesome. The more sets you get, the weirder vehicles you can create. By making the sets interchangeable like this, I do think you sacrifice a certain aesthetic quality, but I think the payoff is great. I was able to make this, and me, the 23-year-old, still finds this to be great, enjoyable fun. Of course, another function I can't forget is that this docks. That's about all there is to this. This eventually, of course, connects to Aerotube Hanger, as you saw in the beginning, but this has no functionality other than the windscreen goes up and down. These can widen to kind of fit the vehicle. That's about it. That's as far as they close. That's as far as they open. It's going to be the same for the other two docking bays as well. This is that other ribbed hose I was talking about, the inferior one. But what's nice about this one, of course, is that LEGO can cut it to any length that they need, and so it works. It looks good. It's a good bit of texture. If there's one thing life on Mars is known for, it's for including ridiculous pieces. This is peak early 2000s LEGO, right? So this set is littered with rare and exclusive parts. I'll highlight a few. There's too many. I already mentioned these grabbers in orange are exclusive to this set. This 6x6 radar dish in orange, also exclusive to this set. We have some unique prints on the legs. So this is actually included 5 times in this set. The flyer also has one. These 1x8 large blaster elements in tan, unique to this set. Tan windscreen, unique to this set. The 2x2 printed tile up here. Of course, only other set it comes with is the accessory pack. And we get our first glimpse at sand purple. There's a ton of these included in Aerotube Hanger as well. This is the only other set that they come in. There is one additional set that includes one of these in black. It's a Star Wars figure pack, basically. It's a cool piece. Limited use case though. I can see why it did not survive the great mold purge back in the day. While expensive, I do think this is a cool set. Getting so many different modules within is great. Even if you just have one of the mechs, you can have a lot of fun with mix and matching. 2 exclusive figures is great, and who doesn't love Vega? This is my first Life on Mars set I ever got, actually. Maybe that's why I hung onto the box. I never had the original instructions, but I'm definitely not going to be getting rid of this one, ever. A lot of good memories with it. All right, on to the big boy. 7317 Aerotube Hanger is perhaps one of my favorite sets of all time. So this thing has a total of 706 pieces, which is quite respectable. Makes sense given just the amount of space this thing takes up. Would have retailed for $90 even back in the day, which adjusted for inflation is a rather nasty $140. So this would have actually only been the 9th most expensive set in 2001, which is pretty crazy. It sounds not too dissimilar to what they're doing today. So let's meet our Martians that are included with this set. Over here on the left, we've got Arcturus in red and accented in medium green. He certainly stands out with those red eyes. I'm not sure what his story is, but he's very cool. Now, I thought this torso was unique to this set, but it's actually made a comeback here in 2021. It's included in one of the Marvel's Eternal sets, and I believe in a Monkey Kid set as well. So that's cool, but we'll never be seeing these arms again in medium green, and we probably will never see those legs in red either. Definitely exclusive to this set. Next up is Cassiopeia, who is actually the most valuable Life on Mars minifigure and the only female minifigure. So maybe that's the correlation there. She features a purple torso and legs, both of which are unique to the set. She is unique to the set as well. Rigel is supposed to be the king of the Martians. He runs the Aerotube Hanger. You can tell he's different because he's got that 1x1 printed tile on his chest. He's the only Martian to have something on his chest there. He stands out too with a different color head and arms. So that's done in green. I've heard it said that he looks like Kermit. I can kind of see it. I can definitely see it. That 1x1 print probably comes in the Life on Mars accessory pack. I'm not sure about that, but it probably does. But it also comes in one of these smaller sets as well. Next up is Mizar in sand purple. Both his legs and torso are definitely unique to that figure. This was one of those Quaker oatmeal poly bags though, so there was another way to get him outside of buying this rather expensive set. He's got quite the elaborate face print there done in sand purple. Quite a cool figure. And then Vega, who we've seen before, shows up in this set as well. I do have the original box for this set as well, in much better condition than the other one. This is a big boy. It had to be to fit that very, very large, very specialized air pump piece inside of it at some point in its life. You can see this box is pretty nice with that double layer of cardboard printed on the inside there. They don't make quite as great boxes anymore. So this one is very, very thick, bordering on what the UCS sets at the time would have been in thickness. Again, just to house that air pump. So we've got our cast of characters up here. We've got the hero shot on the side of the base in the background. That's awesome. I just want to mention that the box art here is great with the perspective, the aliens shooting out the flyers and the base kind of in the background. There's a lot going on, looks really cool. This side, we've got some of the vehicles and functions, and I could join the Lego club. On the back is a very useful aerial view and how to get from place to place. So how do we get from place to place? Using the Epic tube system. So if you've watched some of my other stuff, I reviewed the remake of Life on Mars, Mars Mission with the tube system, and I determined that it failed, where this one succeeded. It sticks to what it was designed to do, get Martians from point A to point B, and there's lots of different places for them to go. Whereas in Eagle Command Base from Life on Mars, there were 2 places they could go. The rocket, storage. This is so much more interesting. They start off in the base and can go to any of those 3 vehicles. And the process is a lot more fun. So let's take Vega here and put him in one of these very, very specialized sleds. You can outfit anybody else but a Life on Mars Martian in one of these. Battle droids, not gonna work. As you can see there, the curves just fit the Martian perfectly. As efficient as possible so that the air pushes him out. So he's gonna start off right in here, and if we have this thing spun all the way to the left, it should suck him up. Moving on in, there's actually this crank mechanism to move the output back and forth. There are also locks in place to make sure he goes exactly where we want him to go. Same thing at the secondary split. There's another lock. It's not as fancy as the back ones, but hey, it works. By turning the tubes all the way to the right, get Vega to go all the way to the end. So you'll notice he actually got caught a little bit in here, and this is one of the interesting things about this set. There's actually 2 versions released. I have the older one, and I didn't even know about this until I always search under sand purple to see what people are selling on Bricklink. And I found this extended version of the piece I have. My version of Aerotube Hanger comes with this 2x4, and this guy was selling 3x4. This is the same element that's used on Mars Mission, but in clear. What happens is that in this bend, one is going up, one is going down. The sled can get caught in between there or catch a little bit. And so halfway through the production run, LEGO started substituting this piece as well. From what I understand, that change was made in the directions, but the box art remained the same. I had already swapped them out here, and it made a huge difference in how this thing ran. So that's definitely why they hung on to this piece. It's interesting that this got missed in quality control the first time because it catches every single time it goes through one of these joints. But with the new one, it's so much more fluid. Very, very interesting. So I had to buy some of these. They're pretty cheap. I want to say I got these for 25 cents off Bricklink. I don't have enough to replace everything, but definitely enough to replace the problem areas, which is most important. Oh, he's totally stuck in there now. Let's try swapping it out. Where's my chair? Let's give this a try. It makes a world of difference, just that extra stud. If you do have an older copy of this set, I would suggest finding these. They're pretty affordable, even though it's a really rare piece and a really rare color. So definitely pick these up. It'll make your set run so much smoother. I'm so glad I got those. So that is the main function of this set, and it is a good deal of fun. I think partially just because of the length, where Eagle Command Base, the most you get is 2 tube lengths, but here you get 3 tube lengths. Eagle Command Base had 4 tubes, this set has 6. There's just more room to make that guy fly, and it's fast. If you give this a good pump, you can go quite a ways very quickly. It's very, very fun. So on to other features of the set. It does include 2 vehicles. This flying vehicle here is interesting. It's the only sand purple vehicle included. So let's get our sand purple Martian Mizar in there. So you can kind of see the way he's supposed to connect is by grabbing onto this piece right here. Give me a second to figure this out. I promise you, I never figured this out as a kid. Something like that. Yeah, it's jank for sure. Another jank thing are the frictionless pins that hold the engines in place, allowing them to kind of move wherever. They kind of stay, but that's probably just because they're old. So I really do think this vehicle works better just staying there as part of the base. Flying around doesn't look so great. The other vehicle is also kind of forgettable, has the same control panel system that all the other mechs did. This mech has some interesting posability. It can bend over like that all the way to pick up things off the ground. But that's the only way I can do it. I guess it can also bend here. It's gonna fall over. It's mostly forgettable. Probably didn't need to be included in this set, but I get why they did it. It would have been awesome if we had another branch with a sand green docking bay and a huge sand green mech included in this set. Cost would have been through the roof, but it would have been so cool. So cool. We'd have all the sand colors. I love it. Oh well. Moving on to the base itself, the architecture is all over the place, and quite frankly, I love it. It screams classic Lego in every possible way, and that's a good thing. So it's all elevated off the ground with the use of these, of which there are at least 20 in this set to do that. A lot of big pieces in this set, boosting that price, unfortunately. In the back is a lab to study one of the crystals. It includes this perfectly adequate crane that simply goes up and down in turns. You would like to see a little more articulation, but it lines up just perfectly to grab that crystal. So the base itself can actually be reconfigured as well. It comes apart into a few different modules. There's 2 of these umbrella modules. One of them just has 2 control panels. The other has a series of tools. This crazy thing, 2 walkie-talkies, a buzzsaw, and a wrench. But all that can be disconnected, and it can either be placed further back, potentially, like this, or you can stack these modules onto each other as well. You can make some pretty interesting configurations. There's not as much variety as you get with some of the vehicles, but a welcome addition nonetheless. And I think it doesn't detract from the overall look of the set at all. Navigating this base it's pretty difficult in the back. Some pretty steep climbs up to the bulk of the base just to get the tube underneath. There's no good way to get into this entrance pod. There's no ramps around the outside. You just gotta be a little creative. That's what's great about Lego. Sand purple in all these weird colors, it's great. And we do have to talk about rare pieces in this set because there's a ton. All of these parts here are only found in Aerotube Hanger. No surprise, the pump in sand purple is exclusive to this set, as well as the gray tubing. Those are pretty unique specialized pieces. So this flag print brought up earlier is completely unique to this set. Most of the sand purple pieces in this set, besides the archway, which also appears in Excavation Searcher, are exclusive, including this 8x8 sand purple dish. This 2x8 modified plate for switching the tracks. This 4x8 windscreen in sand purple. I've included both of the tube connector points, both the short and the longer one, as both are technically exclusive to this set. There's also this engine piece, which was designed specifically for Life on Mars. This is the only set to include it in sand purple. We of course have the sand purple 1x3 slope, which is dotted all over the set, but exclusive to this set. There's also a number of sand red elements that have never appeared again. So we have the 2x3 slope in sand red 4x8 windscreen. Sand red cone actually is exclusive to this set, and this 1x8 sand red gun piece. Overall, love this set. It is highly specialized, but still feels very Lego to me. More so than some other highly specialized things of this time. I mean, obviously it's more Lego than Galador, and to me it's more Lego than Belleville ever was. Even though there are all these ridiculous elements like these tubes and this pump, this here is just so undeniably Lego classic space. I cannot help but absolutely love it. Life on Mars really was the last of the great classic Lego space themes. Yeah, we've had good themes since. Obviously I'm a big Mars mission fan, but this is classic play-focused Lego space, and this set exemplifies everything about that. And yeah, it was made in Lego's darkest hour as they went a little too specialized, and yeah, there's a lot of unique, weird parts on this set because of it. To me, that's a very good thing. But I consider this to be a success, and I think Lego did too, considering that they tried to bring it back with the Mars mission sets. Getting 3, 4 if you count Mizar, which I do, unique minifigures in this set is really awesome as well. All very distinct designs, distinct colors. I love how the whole thing is elevated from the ground too. There's a practical reason for that with the tubes, but these tubes could have sat on the ground. There's no reason for them to be way up here. But not only does it take up a lot of horizontal space, it takes up a lot of vertical space. It's very impressive. And yes, it was expensive. It was extremely expensive. It tries to own up to that expensive price tag. You'd be hard pressed to find a kit that takes up this much space. All right, let's bring everything back together and watch the magic really happen. So this is it. All 5 sets back together that make up this incredible Aerotube Hanger. We've seen every sand color ever. We've got, of course, tan, the OG sand, sand red, sand blue, sand green, and sand purple, the most elusive of them all. The mechs neatly dock at these stations. These 5 sets give you a total of 6 vehicles, all pretty distinct. These 2 kind of blend together, I think, a little bit. We've got our sand purple flyer, sand blue mech, sand red mech, and tan walker. You've got your whole setup here for your mining operations as you go look for crystals and whatnot. I do wish there was more crystals. I feel like both of these guys could have included the orange rocks. All in all, you get 3, the most coming with the Excavation Searcher. The entire collection would have retailed for $187. That's a lot. Adjusted for inflation, you're looking more around $292 altogether for this setup. The prices for these sets were terrible. There's no way to sugarcoat that. So many specialized pieces, so many unique pieces, so many prints that were developed exclusively for this theme. And that really drove the cost up. To get something that has this much playability and just takes up this much space, it does feel like at least a $200, maybe $250 value, what I have in front of me. 300 might be pushing it a little bit. Most of these kits are super affordable now on the aftermarket, which is kind of sad that they are not as popular. There's not a lot out there, don't get me wrong, especially sealed. They're going to be hard to find, but they are not all that expensive. They're quite attainable. So I would totally recommend these, especially if you love weird parts. The sand purple is sand red. These are colors that are probably never going to be produced again. Oh, it's so sad. I would love, especially to see sand red. I feel like there's so much potential with that color. A lot of cool buildings to be made. The sets were so collectible, especially if you had the big Aerotube Hanger, because you could put them all together. There's tons of different alien minifigures to collect, which I think is super fantastic. And they're all really unique and quite lovable. We don't get a lot of lovable aliens from LEGO. I love this theme. I hope watching this made you love this theme a little bit more too. If you can get your hands on one of these things, like I said, they're pretty cheap compared to a lot of the other older space themes out there. Definitely worth having for this really unique piece of LEGO history. And if you want sand purple, and I know you want sand purple, you gotta get this set.